Ladies and gentlemen, this press conference is now called to order. Good afternoon, Your Excellency President of Guyana, Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali. And at the head table joining His Excellency is Dr. Peter Ramsaroop, Mr. Sham Nok. My apologies, I should introduce our ministers first. Pardon me. Minister Hugh Todd and Minister Anand Prasad. Dr. Peter Ramsaroop, Mr. Sham Nokta, Mr. Floyd Haynes, Mr. Komal Singh, Mr. Stephen Jacobs, Mr. Rafiq Khan, and Mr. Paul Chung. Good afternoon, one and all, and welcome to this press conference. President Ali and a delegation of ministers and representatives from the private sector in Guyana spent a week in India where they met with several officials of the Indian government and the Indian private sector. The President will discuss the outcomes along with the persons joining him at the head table, discuss the outcomes of that official visit to India. I'd like now, without further ado, to invite His Excellency to address us.
Thank you very much, members of the media. This afternoon, I'm very pleased to address you on what has been a very fruitful engagement with the government of India in many areas. As you're aware, India presents many opportunities for us, our local private sector, for the government, for collaboration and expansion in many areas. Many of the areas are in keeping with our own development trajectory, with the direction of the economy, and the areas of advancement and development that we would like to see here in Guyana. In India, we have had business-to-business meetings. We have had engagement with some of the leading private sector organizations, companies, industries. We have met the President, the Prime Minister of India, the Minister of External Affairs, and many other sectorial ministers in pursuing a very targeted approach to what we wanted to achieve as a country, and to see how India can be an important strategic partner in the development aspirations of our country, our private sector, and our people. In the meeting with Prime Minister Modi, we discussed many issues and our shared vision and commitment on various global topics, including climate change, food security, energy security, human resource development, and building out a platform through which we can create a better global environment that support peace, that support the development of humanity, and the advancement of technology in a way in which it helps to reduce disparity and inequality and enhance the prospect of higher quality of life for all global citizens. So agriculture and food production was a very strong pillar that underpinned our discussions because, as you're aware, agriculture and food production is a key element of our development aspiration and a key element of the leadership that we are providing in the region. Healthcare, including Ayurvedic and wellness, renewable energy, ICT, oil and gas, human resource capacity building, technology, and defense. Those were some of the major areas that surrounded our discussions with the Prime Minister and also the President of India. There was tremendous interest in having close collaboration between the two governments on research and development, technology transfer, building out of our agri-food system, the ecosystem surrounding our food production and agriculture, and enhancing the productivity of our agricultural sector, focusing heavily on sugar. Kaisuku was a main area that we focused on. Aquaculture is another area that has tremendous opportunity for us. Uh, utilization of technology to support the increased production and bring the best production system in our country. We also discuss the healthcare system and ways in which India can collaborate with us in not only telemedicine, because we can have our hospitals now connected to them through telemedicine, but also training and advancement of our human resource pool. Lab technicians, the nurses, and so on. So those were some of the areas. The oil and gas, this platform, because it gave us an excellent opportunity to speak to the rest of the world with the type of coverage that was given to the visit, to promote our auction in the oil blocks and the opportunity for both oil and gas investment in Guyana. We had specific targeted discussions in relation to oil and gas and India being part of the development of our oil and gas sector. They're very keen on this. So there was specific engagement around that. The development of port facility and the opportunity that exists in Guyana. In defense, of course, India has very strong investment in defense technology. So we had discussions around not only the training of our men and women in uniform, but also to see how we can collaborate in terms of defense technology, in terms of the modernization of the Guyana Defense Force and the police force, supporting us in terms of our equipment transformation, so that we can have a defense capability and a policing capability that functions on good technological platform, but also is supported with good human resource training and access to equipment. So that was an important area also that we had discussions on. At the end of the meeting with Prime Minister Modi, we both agreed on the establishment of 2 working groups that would discuss all the areas that I outlined earlier. We have already written to the government of India outlining the working group that the names that we are proposing to be part of that working group following the OAS model with the US and CARICOM. The only difference here is that in that working group we'll be including the private sector from both India and Guyana, because there's a lot of follow-up and collaboration that is required from the side of the private sectors. So the working group would commence work almost instantaneously to push this agenda. In Guyana, for example, in agriculture, the Minister Zulfikar Mustafa will be part of the working group looking at agriculture and all we discussed around agriculture, building out the ecosystem to support our agricultural aspirations and food production aspirations. The pharma industry, Dr. Leslie Ramsamy, technology, Minister Deodat Indar, energy, Minister Vikram Bharat, Ayurvedic and wellness centers, natural medicine development, Minister Onesh Waldron, human resource capacity building, Minister Sonia Parag, and the defense, of course, myself and the Chief of Staff and the National Security Advisor will be part of that team. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs will be coordinating and setting up the mechanism and finalizing the TOR for this working group to function. From the private sector, of course, we'll have representative that includes the chairman of the private sector. Go Invest will be part of that. Mr. Floyd Haynes, who is here also. So that was the first aspect. The meeting with the Prime Minister really set the tone for a very, very, very productive engagement at every level. We then had meetings in Madhya Pradesh. As you know, we spent some time specifically there. There was a huge investment forum that the private sector was able to capitalize on. Companies from around the world. This is a state that is very innovative, a state that is growing at a rate of 19.7%, a state that has the agricultural sector growing in double digits for the last 10 years, a state that deploys technology, and a state that has a distinction of having one of the cleanest cities within that state itself. Indo is one of the cleanest cities in India. So in terms of solid waste and waste management system, they have been able to develop, using technology and a waste management system, elaborate ecosystem that is highly applicable to us here in Guyana. In that state, we have a specific MOU that we are working out around the area of the farming sector as a whole, the automobile sector, irrigation, horticulture, livestock, and training in agriculture. They have committed to sending a full team of technical experts to conduct training here in the different areas for agriculture, horticulture, but more importantly, we are working on a team that will come down to work on the building out of the horticulture industry here in Guyana. Fresh flower, you know, has tremendous potential. So that is something that we want to expand to young people, single parents, women. This is an easy business for women to lead. Of course, we have already set ourselves a target in terms of new business, agri-led businesses that women must lead in Guyana. So we had, as I said, tremendous discussions surrounding that. We highlighted the opportunities that exist in the region for India, and India playing a more visible role in this region itself, CARICOM Latin America, and ways in which Guyana can help to build that capacity. As you know, in terms of alternative energy, solar, using fresh water and the dumping of fresh water to produce energy. These are all low-hanging fruits that we are in discussion with India on, bringing in the technology, transferring that technology, and deploying it to help us. The Minister of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, we had some very, very good meeting with this sector that focus on twinning our agricultural system, specific sector, how we can twin it and work together to support research and development, the creation of higher yields, the development of a biotech facility, and I'll speak a bit about that, and how they can help us in the development of a biotech facility that would help the agro-food system and production system. The working together on the development of our dairy industry and looking at the value added to that dairy industry, bringing together the state of Roraima in this discussion. One of the main things that we're going to do out of this budget is the establishment of a regional food hub that includes an ecosystem that will support Guyana becoming a major food capital, not only in the production side, but in transport and logistics to the rest of Caribbean and going into North America. This will bring the state of Roraima into play so that we'll be working on this very aggressive agenda of this regional food hub. So, you know, I can go through all the different sectors that we met with and what, you know, millet. I know a lot of you are asking what is millet. And millet, UN has declared 2023 as the year of millet. Millet is really a new product that India is using that is highly nutritional, that adds not only nutritional value, but is very good for diabetics and so on. It is a replacement for the high-carb type of grains like rice and so on. So it's a new market that is developing for millet and millet production. It can be used in every aspect of the food chain value. So it has, it's gluten-free, It helps in the slower release of glucose over a longer period of time, just reducing the risk of diabetes. So millets is also a rich source of minerals like calcium, iron, zinc, magnesium, and potassium. So you know India has a huge diaspora in the US and in Canada. So one of the things that we can utilize is that the power of that diaspora, the market that exists for millet, with India pushing this. So we are looking to see how we can collaborate and how we can work together in terms of the production of millet here in Guyana. Now, we are looking specifically as to ways in which India can assist the profitability of the coconut industry, rice, dairy, and sugar, other crops. They're willing to provide export to come and work with us. The technology, the equipment to support, improve efficiency, yield, and profitability. So there's an MOU that is drafted now with the Minister of Agriculture that would outline the areas of collaboration and the areas in which we'll work together. We have expressed, and the Prime Minister of India has also expressed his keen interest in visiting Guyana this year. So fast track a lot of this planning and a lot of the areas we have identified for collaboration. Now, with the Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, we discussed our current auction process and availability of 14 blocks. We encouraged the Indian private sector to participate in this, but also we made it clear that we're examining government-to-government relationship also, and government-to-government opportunity for exploration and production. We have blocks that are not auctioned, and this remains something that both countries, India has a keen interest in, and they'll be coming back to us on this. The Vice President would lead a delegation following up on all these areas in February to India, because we are very, very keen on the advancement and having results from these areas. They have expressed a strong interest in being a long-term purchaser of Guyana's share of the oil, so that they are going to send in a proposal on that. Separately, though, this minister has a responsibility for housing and urban planning, and they'll be sending a technical team to work with us here in Guyana on the development of Silica City, and also the urbanization, the expansion of the urbanization that is taking place. So that will be something of great help for us here also. We had meeting with the minister responsible for food processing and industries. As you will see, we had a lot of meetings surrounding the food industry, technology, agriculture, because that is a main plank for Guyana's future development. We're positioning ourselves to be the food capital. So they also discussed with us the possibility of distance learning program that can be designed to help small farmers, small producers, packaging, SMEs. So those are people who can be guided and supported through online learning and training platform. They are big into natural medicines, and they want to work with Guyana in developing the ecosystem for natural medicines here in Guyana. You know, we also have tremendous capability in our forests. They have developed an entire ecosystem, an agro-ecosystem out of the forest. So they have thousands of products that comes out of the forest that is used in the natural market, that is used on the global market. So that is something that we are very keen and interested in. Now, we also had a meeting with the Hindustani Aviation Limited. They are making, you know, that we'll have to do some replacement in the GDF, the Skyvan. The time on the Skyvan is coming to an end. So we are working with them to see how we can collaborate with the Hindustani Aviation Limited, supporting this re-engineering and retooling of the Air Corps in the Guyana Defense Force. We had a very good and fruitful meeting with Tata Consultancy Services. They have more than 600,000 associates in 47 countries working with them. They have offices growing, 185 offices and 120 businesses offices around the world. So, as you know, ICT is an important plank that we want to build the economy on. So their work and what they're doing in terms of the global IT sector, software development, e-governance is key to what we want to achieve, included with Infosys in Bangalore. They're one of the leading IT companies, software developers in the world. We had great meetings with them. One of the very, very interesting meetings that we had, that we'll have an MOU, is the Bio-Innovation Center of India. Here is where the government invested in a Bio-Innovation Center that support development of ideas, that support technology. So they are willing now to deploy all the technology that has been tested and successful to Guyana, to deploy it, to help us to develop SME and develop our agricultural sector. So they have 3 areas that is very important for us. They are agriculture, biotechnology, biotechnology for food and nutrition, environmental biotechnology. These are 3 important areas that they will help us on, that they will help us on. And some of the things in the ecosystem that we are looking at is branding, infrastructure, the capacity building, networking, funding, research and development, and mentorship. Now, in the whole regional agro system, what we want to develop, including in the regional food hub, is a regional agro-tech campus here in Guyana. The regional agro-tech campus will have an entire ecosystem surrounding it. So you'll have at the center, the regional agro-tech campus that will be supported by the regional universities and educational systems, international partners like the FAO, regional governments, the regional private sector organization, specific MOU that will be signed with the Bangalore Bio-Innovation Center that will provide all the technology and the human resource skill to support this regional agro-innovation tech hub, and regional development institutions like the CDB. Now, what this tech hub will do, it will bring the technology to us. It would help us in designing an ecosystem for high-value crop, for development of our food system to meet our regional and international needs. So, in my opening remarks, those will be some of the areas and some of the things that I would want to highlight as key outcomes, key areas of discussion between the government of Guyana and the government of India. As you know, I wanted to give the private sector an opportunity also to say for themselves how they view what they saw and how they see this future evolving. So I will invite now Mr. Paul Chung, and followed by Mr. Peter Rams, who will lead off, and then the other members will speak briefly, and then of course we will open ourselves up for any questions you may have or any further clarification that you may need. So, Paul.
Thank you.
Sorry, it is Paul Chung, the Private Sector Commission Chair, followed by Mr. Rafi Khan, Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association, and then we have Mr. Dr. Ramsarup, and then the others. So please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, the trip was very successful, and on behalf of the private sector, I must commend His Excellency for the leadership that he has shown on this trip, and we've seen it continuously. We know the type of person he is. But the way he marketed Guyana and the way he was able to open doors for the private sector and Guyana as a whole, I mean, you know, it was very heart touching. India, many of you may, us may not know, is a leading country in information technology. They have some of the best information technology skills that reside there, and this is one area in which can help to leapfrog us up the development curve. I think there are many opportunities and there are many non-disclosure agreements that are signed between private sector companies and Indian IT companies, which will develop down the line into fruitful and good initiative for the benefit of the local economy and businesses here. As I said, solid waste management. The city, one of the cities that they've moved from one of the daughters to the cleanest city in India. And there are lots that we can learn and implement from there to make our cities better. And this is something that some of the private sector companies visited, and we're working together with those companies there to implement the same thing. Biomass to energy agreement is signed. We have a lot of biomass in Guyana, which we just dump all over the place. Convert it into energy is a no-brainer, and this is something, India is very good at. And again, agreements has been signed for them to implement, for companies to implement, the company to implement that thing. As His Excellency, agriculture, horticulture, agro-processing, these are bedrock pillars for our economy, the sustainable part of our economy, and this is something that we want. And there are many things that we can learn and implement from this visit to enhance what we are doing. Human resource, one of our companies signed an agreement with another in India, so that for particular skills that we may not have. As we all know, Guyana is a small country in terms of our population size, and and the rate of development that is happening, and the way Guyana has been transformed. There may be from time to time resources, human resources that we don't have at a particular time. The agreement will help us or give us the opportunity to access those particular human resource skills. Training and development is another key area which we'll utilize. We need to enhance our skills here. There's no better place. Marine equipment and services, banking and finance, and there are also lots of collaborative agreements signed between the GMSC and the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and the Chamber of Commerce in India. So those networking would all go well for the future for the two agencies and also the business community. This visit is what we call is the planting of seed. It's now, we will continue to work and nurture this and ensure it grow and bear the fruits that we expect it to. So in a nutshell, this trip was very, very successful, and it's going to bear a lot of fruits in the future. Thank you.
Good afternoon, members of the media. I wonder, after hearing His Excellency and Paul Chung speak, if there's anything else to say. But I'll begin. We are very thankful for the opportunity to participate in India's 17th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, which means Non-Resident India Day, in Indore, Madhya Pradesh Global Investment Summit. It was a grand welcome as we visited 4 major cities: Indore, Delhi, Kanpur, and Bangalore. Special thank you to the good offices of the Go Invest, India High Commission, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for their diligent work and a successful mission. To our President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Dr. Mohamed Irfaan, We could not have asked for a better leader than you, Mr. President, to represent Guyana at this moment in time for the building and transformation of our country. Full of energy, passion, persuasion, not only presented Guyana's vast opportunities to India, but also motivated and inspired our businesses to be bold in their actions towards development through forging alliances and partnerships. You've heard our president speak many times about consortiums, and I've been doing the same. What are the opportunities and lessons learned? As we traveled through India, the enormity of industry's development was glaring and could be intimidating by comparing where we are today and where we need to be tomorrow in order to realize the true potential from our vast natural resources. While India do import some raw materials for its manufacturing, most of its inputs are derived from its own natural resources, especially agro-processing and construction sector. As we anticipate future reduction of logistics and energy costs here in Guyana, we need to prepare our manufacturing sector to seize the opportunities by gradually shifting into a secondary economy like India. Hence, the reason for signing 3 strategic MOUs at the GMSA on this mission, which are all low-hanging fruits towards the building of industries. The 3 MOUs: 1, waste to energy in the wood sector by utilizing excessive biomass while reducing the cost of energy and improving competitiveness. 2, large-scale furniture manufacturing to meet the country's rapid demand in both domestic and regional markets. 3, manufacturing complete radiators to serve several industries such as the automotive, generator, and boring machines in Guyana and beyond. The vast population for consumption of products in India, comparing to Guyana, could make one feel that it will not be feasible to sustain large-scale manufacturing here in Guyana. But we need to be constantly remind ourselves that our market is not just Guyana, but the Caribbean and beyond. According to India Invest, there are 3 key major areas of where they have been ranking 1. They're the #1 producers of spice in the world, as you know. They're the 2nd largest producer of horticulture products. They're the 2nd largest in global food production. Other noticeable opportunities gained from the India experience, which we are making preparation for, will be ecotourism and wellnesses, that was mentioned already. Agroforestry, that surprised me. This is going to be a new sector. We don't hear about India having a vast forest, but we were able to visit during our tour a department of the ministry that focuses on agroforestry, which we're going to be having some learning exchange. Agro-processing, of course, food and grains, bean farms. We've met a major company who is going to be perhaps coming here to help introduce beans growing here in Guyana, all types of beans. Pesticides, this is a major area that we've had engagements with companies. ICT, of course, and also, last but not least, investing in India. We, as entrepreneurs and businesses in Guyana, we will have an opportunity to also invest in businesses in India, which we would like to encourage our members. Also, in closing, I would like to borrow a line from our president during his speech at Madhya Pradesh Global Investor Summit. Driven by private sector and supported by government, I repeat, driven by private sector and supported by government. Business colleagues, the opportunities are ripe in Guyana, and the world has recognized it. We need to actively form alliance with other companies, locally and or internationally, and drive the mission for government to support. Thank you.
Good day, media. Guyana Invest was proud to facilitate probably the largest private sector delegation out of Guyana to India. Close to 30 companies actually went with us to India. I must commend many of them for doing prep work prior to going. They already had major contacts, and Rafiq mentioned that. So getting there, they were able to facilitate discussions more quicker. We were able to facilitate business forums. We had 3 business forums, some 75, some over 100 senior executives from Indian companies coming to listen to Guyana. So the exposure Guyana gained from that visit, I believe, is significant. And how do I measure that? And we, in our office, has to continue to measure all of these agreements between the private sector companies and how we can facilitate the entrance of these global sectors into Guyana. This morning in my email, I have already received 8 proposals from various businesses in India, from bamboo to construction to clay brick factory. Somebody has already done their research in Guyana. They want to come in wherever we have clay and set up a clay brick factory. So we will continue to monitor what Rafiq said in terms of some of the agreements. We, Guyana Invest Office, also signed an agreement with Invest India for both inward and outward investments. India, as is one of the leading facilitation agencies in the world. The president mentioned Infosys. You know, Guyana, we have been focused on the back office processing, telecommunication industry. When we started government, I think we had inherited about 3,000 seats. We're up to 8,000 seats in call centers and back office. We're on our way to about 15,000 seats in a year or two. In our 2023 budget and in our 2022 budget, there is build out of infrastructure to entice some of these companies from India and from other parts of the world into Guyana. And the reason for that is most of the North American companies want to go near shore, so they're not outsourcing all their work to Philippines and India anymore. So we're looking to attract that, and Indian companies with contracts like Infosys is looking to expand their markets into Guyana. So going forward, our role from the Guyana Invest Office is to monitor these agreements, measure implementation by these companies coming in, look and see what incentives we need to give to them, and work with our private sector to ensure that they are able to deliver on their goals in enhancing our economic situation in Guyana. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ramsuru. I'd like now to invite Mr. Floyd Haynes, CEO of New Haven Merchant Bank, to bring some remarks.
Mics? Oh, okay, good. Thank you very much. Thank you, members of the press, His Excellency, ministers, members of the private sector. Thank you all. In a short way, the trip was a resounding success. We did 4 or 5 cities in 7 days. It was grueling, but productive. You know, it was a little different. Typically in these types of things, you have government officials meeting government officials in a room. They cut the deals, they shake hands, and then they come out and do the press conference. This was different. In addition to government officials meeting government officials, we had B2B. Private sector India meeting private sector Guyana. And the president challenged both. Challenged the India private sector and challenged the Guyanese private sector. In fact, in several of those meetings, one of those meetings was standing room only. It was so filled with private sector folks from India. And the president, as he is known to do on several occasions, would call out Guyanese businesses and say, stand up, introduce yourself, tell them about your business. And several of the members of the private sector had an opportunity to do just that. And to me, that was different. It was private sector talking to private sector. And that is what I call walking the walk. Now, for me, personally, I'm in the banking space. As you know, India is one of the global leaders in what is called fintech. It's just a fancy word for financial technology. And it describes all of the various programs and technology that enables or facilitates financial transactions. The whole idea being is that all of your financial transactions, whether you're borrowing money, you're making payments, any of those things, you're trading, all of it will be digitized. India has probably gone further than just about any other country in digitizing their financial architecture. Virtually no one carries cash. From the taxi driver all the way up to the prime minister carries a digital wallet. That's the kind of technology we hope to bring to Guyana. And to that end, I have met specifically 2 firms who are leaders in that space, and we've already begun collaboration. So again, I say for me it was a resounding success, and I want to thank His Excellency for not just talking the talk, but walking the walk.
Thank you, Mr. Haynes. I'd like to invite now Mr. Sham Nokta, Managing Director, Environmental Management Consultants.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. His Excellency, members of the head table. I will not repeat what my colleagues from the private sector have said, but indeed, this was a trip with a difference, and government and private sector undertaking this trip as a team, working as a team throughout the various engagements and visits that we had, is one of the successes. But as my colleagues would have mentioned, in each specific area, there was an opportunity to engage directly with companies, with business support organizations, to establish partnerships, collaborative arrangements through MOUs, etc. We also had the opportunity, in addition to meeting with private sector and government, to also engage with centers of excellence, institutions that are leading the way in terms of skills, expertise, technology. And one of those was the Energy and Resources Institute. They've been around for about 4 to 5 years, and they have been working in Guyana for about 10 years. And it provided an opportunity for us to build on that foundation. There are several areas, but one I wish to mention today is in relation to renewable energy and energy efficiency. So, as you may know, India is a leader as it regards to solar technology. The International Solar Alliance is an initiative that India is playing a lead role, and there clearly is quite a lot of opportunities here to look at transferring technology at different scales, from the community level right through to industries, to government buildings, etc. And through the visit and through the discussions, there's going to be several projects related to renewable energy and energy efficiency, but also many of the areas that His Excellency would have mentioned, agro-processing, in the area of biodiversity, forestry, among others. So I wish to say that, in my view, it was an extremely successful trip. There is now a foundation to go forward, to strengthen the relationship, and also importantly, to ensure diligent follow-up to bring many of the discussions and the initiatives that have been discussed into fruition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nokta. I'll invite now GEICO CEO, Mr. Komal Singh, to bring remarks.
His Excellency, members of the media, members of the head table, good afternoon. I must say that I was very, very privileged to be part of this team to visit India. Over the last 2 years, we have seen our president and his team making huge promises in terms of developmental plan for Guyana and very long-term strategic plan. And one would have sit back and think to themselves, how is it we're going to achieve these targets that His Excellency is setting? They're very tall targets, they're very aggressive targets. Going to India, I'm very comfortable. I came back very energized, seeing what India have done and where they are today. We don't need to rewind the wheel. All we need to do at this point in time is to build on those contacts that we have created during last week with His Excellency and our team, and bring those expertise to the table in Guyana, thus allowing us the opportunity to make sure that we can achieve those objectives that are currently being set to develop Guyana rapidly, and in those areas that is so badly needed, to make sure that our country meets the demand of the growing industry, not just in Guyana, but regionally. We had the opportunity, like our colleagues mentioned, to meet with many companies that have synergies that we can bring to Guyana and develop in our sector in a short span of time. Agro-processing, like our colleague mentioned, it's a huge one. We have met almost 2 companies who were so interested in coming to Guyana. And instead of just having gluts of fruits and vegetables dumped during certain time of the year, they want to work with us to create partnership to set up agro-processing facility in Guyana. And I think at this point in time, with the initiative that the government is working on at this point in time, it is very important we bring those guys to the table as quickly as possible. I mean, our construction and engineering sector, the development that is currently taking place right now, we want to see some of those technology transfer here. With the budget you heard yesterday, there's many bridges that needs to be built across the length and breadth of Guyana, and these are huge structure. Instead of us importing all of these equipment and machinery and tools from time to time, many of the companies, we have met with 2 companies who are very keen in coming to Guyana and setting up huge structure so we can build big overpass. They can build and prefab those structures so we don't need to bring those resources from outside thereon. One of the most amazing area that we have visited was Indoor City. Indoor City, and I'll just take a minute to say it, and I can't stop talking about Indoor City. We have seen over the last 2 years an aggressive move by the government to keep the city clean, to keep people from stop littering. In 2015, Indoor City was worse than what we're seeing in Georgetown today. It was worse. They were dumping, they have dump sites. The dump site was in flame 24/7. Today, Indoor City, they have no dump site. They process every single waste that they generate. They process it in ways where they can make the waste become a revenue stream. So nothing is being dumped in a dump site. So you wouldn't go around Indoor and see a dump site. They were able to achieve that target within a short span of time. And if you walk around Indoor today, you will not believe what it looked like in 2015. So looking at that, I'm very upbeat at this point in time that we can achieve that objective that the government is pushing right now to make Georgetown a clean city, litter-free. It all just takes all of us to put hands on board and work collectively. Those companies who have worked with the municipality and the government there and create public-private partnership, we have seen how successful that public-private partnership is. That company is willing to participate and bring the skill set and the expertise that they have used over the couple of years to achieve that objective. They are willing to come to Guyana and work with us here to help us to achieve that objective. And last but not least, I must commend His Excellency and his entire government to allowing the private sector commission, the private sector of Guyana, and I repeat, the private sector of Guyana, to be the driving force for development. And that is an enormous opportunity that the private sector were given, and we need to capitalize on it. The opportunity is enormous. We need to continue to look for opportunity to collaborate. We need to continue to look at all of the low-hanging fruits that exist and grab on it at an early stage. Don't allow it to go past us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. And now we're going to hear from Mr. Stephen Jacobs of Jacobs Jewelry.
Pleasant good afternoon to one. They usually say you leave the best for last. His Excellency, ministers of the government, all the members of the head table, members of the media, pleasant good afternoon to you all. Let me firstly thank His Excellency, the government of Guyana, and also the government of India for the opportunity for myself being the director of Jacobs Jewelry and also the director, one of the directors of First Change Builders, without a director being Mr. Leon Johnson, who's here also. The opportunity of what I would say a very successful, informative, and eye-opening trip to India. From a business perspective, we've been able to form partnerships, network. Jacobs Jewelry had the opportunity to partner with MS Singhvi Jewelers out of Delhi in India to provide high quality 18 and 22 karat diamond jewelry out of India. We know India is a hub for jewelers also. Let me endorse basically everyone at the head table in saying that His Excellency's work on that trip was amazing. I actually had we had the front row seat to actually see how he does it. It was meeting after meetings, it was late nights, and we were also up very, very late. My colleague also mentioned the amount of cities we had visited in a short period of time. In closing, I would just like to say, the information that we had access to in India, we will use that to not only transform ourselves in business in Guyana, but to also bring other businesses from the private sector, because it's not only the responsibility of the government, but it's the responsibility of the private sector to continue the development of Guyana. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Stephen is a very modest guy, but what struck me about Stephen is his love for Guyana. He spent a lot of time there trying to reach out to trainers to come here to be part of a training academy for jewelers that he wants to establish. And Steve, I think that is very commendable, man. He's looking at establishing a training academy in Guyana for jewelers, getting them certified so that as we move towards improving our presence on the regional market, it comes with standard and quality, not only in the gold, but in those who are manufacturing them. I'm very proud of the private sector too. In 7 days, they survive on less than 17 hours of sleep. And less than 17 hours of sleep in 7 days is not easy to survive on. But they did it. They understood that we were there for a specific purpose, and we worked together and achieved that. I'm very pleased with the position Guyana is taking globally. There's a lot of interest, a lot of questions. If I was to embark on my full agenda this week, I would have to be at the World Economic Forum as a keynote speaker in Davos. I would have to be in the United Arab Emirates as a keynote speaker on the World Government Summit, and at the Trinidad and Tobago Energy Conference, all at the same time. So I am very pleased that the work we are doing in Guyana and the development path that we're taking is attracting tremendous international interest. And we are willing and ready to make even additional sacrifices as we build an economy and a country that is so strong and prosperous that every Guyanese would be proud of it, and that the world will look to us as a leading example of how to build a society and a country and an economy that meets the need and aspiration of all these people. Thank you. Now we are open for any questions.
Okay, so we have 2 roving mics. I will take Marcel's question first. Please remember to identify yourself, your name, your agency, and then proceed with your question. Go ahead, Marcel. Thank you.
Thomas from the Starbuck News.
Microphone test, 1, 2.
Marcel
Test.
Thomas from the Starbuck News. It's not a
Mic
mic,
test.
it's me. Your Excellency, you gotta understand. Your Excellency, you listed a number of areas that you had discussions with the government of India on. It's not a mic. They've told us mic. Yes. You listed a number of areas that you had held discussions with the government of India on. I'm asking for specifics, though. Which 3 areas would you say that you would see immediate or tangible traction on very soon? And two, you pointed to Vice President Jagdeo going back to India next month to have discussions on the oil and gas sector. Follow up on everything? Okay. I'm being specific now then. Has India expressed an interest in buying oils from any of the platforms here? That's direct sales between government to government. And would this be one of the areas that the VP would have discussions on?
Well, India has always expressed interest in buying oil from Guyana, has even participated and sent proposals before. We even had a lift that went to India, so this is nothing new. India has made it very clear that they have an interest in being one of the purchasers of Guyana's oil. They've also made it very clear that they would love to have a long-term relationship in relation to the lift. There is absolutely no secret about that. So the technical teams will work and to see what proposal India would put forward. Now, the Vice President, I think, would be speaking at the Sustainable Forum, as a Sustainable Forum in India. And as he will be in India on that forum, all the areas that I've identified requires follow-up. So he would take the opportunity to follow up on all these areas. We don't intend to have any of these areas lagging behind or drop. So it is not only in terms of lift. India's interest is also to see how they can work with us on the entire ecosystem surrounding our oil and gas, whether it's technology transfer, training of our human resources, building capacity in terms of the value-added services that is required for the oil and gas sector, purchasing of our crude oil, co-investment or investment, and they're also encouraging their private sector to participate in the auction that we have now. So that is a direct answer to your question. Now, in relation to identifying 3 areas that we will see action, I would like to say to you that every area I've identified, you will see action. Every area I have identified, you will see action. For a matter of fact, our goal as government was to open up opportunities for the private sector. They have already established many MOUs with partner businesses. But from the government side, you will see technical teams coming in to help us in aquaculture, horticulture, sugar, our food production system, the food technology, the biotech facility supporting agriculture. So those are areas that I would say are low-hanging or immediate in terms of the type of support that you will see. Now, let me give you, for example, I only received this on my way back. There's something called Bima bamboo. Bima, you know, hear about bamboo and the potential of bamboo. 200 acres of Bima bamboo is required for the generation of 1 megawatt of electric power. 1 megawatt of electric power, 200 acres of Bima. 150 acres of Bima bamboo cultivation is needed to build 1,000 homes. And this is what they're doing now. This is not new. This is not something that is in the testing stage. This is something that is being used now. If you look at timber homes, to build the same 1,000 homes, it will take 500 acres of our traditional forests in terms of lumber. While with the Bima bamboo, it's 150 acres. Now, the Bima bamboo, we have the best climatic condition in the intermediate savannas for Bima bamboo. But the government can't go and plant this. I'm looking forward now for the private sector to utilize this opportunity that the government is enabling, and I know Rafik and all of them are doing this, to move towards building a consortium to make use of this opportunity. And that is what this is about, you know. The community forest organizations that we have, not only looking at extraction of lumber and wood now, but to see how they can be part of this, building the ecosystem around all of this. What we are doing, a lot of what we are doing is really setting up Guyana to function in a sustainable, resilient way in an economy 2030 and beyond. That is what a lot of the investment that we're making today will do. Create an environment, an ecosystem in which our economy 2030 and beyond will be second to none globally.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have, just before you go ahead, Kiana has a question, and then we'll take Kurt.
Good afternoon, members of the head table. Mr. President, just a few questions. With respect to the oil and gas sector, on two separate occasions, the Natural Resources Minister, Mr. Vikram Bharat, and the Vice President both said last year that government is not keen on long-term agreements for the oil and gas sector, that you're more prone to there being an auction. Specifically, Vice President Jagdeo had said to Reuters that if India wants such an agreement, they should bid for it. Can you explain why government is more inclined now to do a long-term agreement as opposed to an auction?
Let me stop you there. I did not say anything about government is inclined for anything. I don't know which part of my press conference said that government is inclined to do this. I said that there is a proposal. That proposal will be made to a technical team, and then we will move forward as to in relation to what the proposal says. But there's an interest, and that interest will be examined through a proposal. I didn't say government is inclined to do anything at this point. Let me make it very clear. Once again, there has been a keen interest consistently from India to be a long-term purchaser of crude oil from Guyana. In addition to that interest, they have expressed also a keen desire to support us in the entire ecosystem around the oil and gas sector. I said to the team, and I'm going to repeat it, that they should put in a proposal as to what exactly they're proposing in terms of a long-term agreement, and that has to be examined technically. Full stop.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Can you say if India is the only country that has expressed such a desire, if there are other nations that you've indicated that they can submit similar submissions?
I don't know of any other expression of a desire. I can speak to you that the one I'm aware of is that on this visit, the Petroleum Minister of India raised this specifically with me, so I can speak definitively about that.
Okay, thank you. Secondly, on the oil and gas audits, can you give us an update on that? You had said it would be received from the auditors last December.
Well, I can only tell you what you know. So I know that there's the work that was ongoing, work that was received, so I don't know what update I can give you. But what I can say to you is that I'm very pleased that the audits have commenced, that we have audits now, and that the audits will continue.
Sir, last year you had said that the audit reports would be released. Can the public still look forward to that?
The public can look forward to a lot of things, and I'm not a person who walked back on my commitment to this country.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kiana. A question from Kurt, and then we'll take Samuel.
All right, Kurt Campbell, Newsroom.
Yes.
Mr. President, going back on the proposal from India, could you say when that proposal is expected? What are some of the provisions you and your technical team would like to see in that proposal? And also, you talk about the long-running interests from India, but is the hope to finalize this agreement at the time of the VP's visit? And secondly, can you say when the government, or whether the government will make a decision on awarding blocks directly to the Indian government?
Oh my God, you've gone even 5 steps forward. I don't know when you heard I said awarding blocks directly to the Indian government. I said government-to-government collaboration. There's an interest in government-to-government collaboration that is far from awarding blocks directly to India. Court, we in 2 different press conferences here, brother. So let me say this to you. We are far apart there. there's totally a misinterpretation on your part, not on my part, because I'm very clear. So there's two things. One is that a technical team will examine this court. We have to await what the technical team say. I don't know what the proposal will be. I haven't seen the proposal. So two technical teams, the technical teams will work, submit, and then, of course, whatever they submit, you will know. Whatever you submit, you will know. Everybody will know whatever they submit. What proposal they're making to the government, you will know. The second thing is we have said consistently that there is a scope for government-to-government collaboration in terms of the development of our oil sector. Not only India. There is a scope. We have, I mean, we can't speak openly about some of the interests now, but of course there are other countries that has been pursuing the oil and gas sector here in Guyana. But there is I won't say there's an interest in exploring the opportunity. Let me put it that way. In the meeting with the minister, the interest of exploring that opportunity of government-to-government collaboration was very clear. There was also a clear undertaking that the private sector of India in the oil and gas sector will be encouraged to participate in that auction. We also encourage the government of India to have their agency participate directly in the auction also, because we would like to see as much people, every government that is interested in participating in the auction we will welcome it, we love it. We are encouraging every single company. Let me say this very clear. Guyanese company, any company, you want to be part of the auction, please come up. Any government in any part of the world, any company in any part of the world, you are free to be part of the auction. This is not for India. The same invitation that we gave to India is the same invitation to the rest of the world. Full stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll now take a question from Samuel.
Mr. President, good afternoon. Samuel Suknandan, NCN News. Just a little outside of the presentation today, I'd just like to go with the budget 2023. You detailed some of the tangible benefits that will be derived from that budget. Last night, the opposition leader, Aubrey Norton, spoke about it. He labeled it anti-poor and anti-working class. He also said it's for families, friends, and favorites. I'm sure you would object to that. Your response to the opposition leader's comments?
I'm just shocked and surprised. But what more can we expect? Where there is emptiness, there is a lot of noise. Where there is emptiness, there is a lot of noise. So let's examine this budget that is for friends and family. I was going through in a live last night some of the benefits of this budget and what it brings to people. All right? So let's take, for example, the housing program. 25,000 Guyanese family would own their own lot, their own house lot, and their own homes eventually. So that is 25,000 friends and family of the government. I take it, thank you. I take them as my friends and family because every Guyanese is my friend and family. So yes, Mr. Norton, the 25,000 that will be getting their house lot under this government is our friend and family because in your 5 years of government, you failed to give any of them anything. So I take them. They are my friends and family. The movement of the threshold from 75,000 to 85,000 that will benefit tens of thousands of Guyanese, they are my friends and family. I love them. Do not claim them as your friends and family. You said that they are our friends and family, so they are my friends and family. Let's go on. The Because We Care grant that will benefit 214,000 school children, 214,000 families, They are my friends and family. I love you guys. You are my friends and family. Tell the opposition leader, thank you for understanding that you are my friends and family. That is why we are working for you. That is why we're helping you. So the 214,000 children that are benefiting, you are our friends and families. The thousands of consumers who will benefit as a result of the reduction in the freight costs, you are our friends and family. Yes. Yes, Mr. Norton, they are our friends and family. Every Guyanese is part of our family and friends. The $3 billion in salary adjustment that will benefit the 5,000 healthcare workers and 9,000 members of the disciplinary forces, you are our friends and family. Yes, you are our friends and family. You are part of this great One Guyana family, and I'm happy that the opposition leader has finally realized that all of these people form part of this one big, happy Guyana family, the One Guyana family. So I'm not looking at it as a negative. You know your president. I don't look at anything in a negative way. What the man was really saying was that Guyana and the delivery of Budget 2023 is for the entire Guyanese friend and family. He's accepting the fact that the PPP government has embraced the entire Guyana community as our friend and family. So why are you beating up the man? My friend, why are you beating up this man? This man has finally come to his realization and the reality that this budget and this government is delivering to the friends and family of the PPP who constitute the entire whole of the country. All the Amerindian communities and Amerindian that will benefit. The Because We Care grant, the school transportation grant, the income tax threshold adjustment, the salary adjustment, the expansion of the part-time job program, $10 billion. $10 billion going back into the pockets of people, improving disposable income. What that means is $40,000. Any of you have a low-income loan here? $40,000 will pay back your loan every single month. That is what it means for the ordinary people. Yes, they are friends and family. Yes, they are part of the Guyana collective, friends and family. I am happy. Y'all misinterpreting the man. That is what he meant, that the budget has delivered for all Guyanese who are part of this grand family, this One Guyana family. So, you know, I think y'all just made a mistake, misinterpret what the man was saying. Our cost of living adjustment plan, and by the way, I see this nonsensical thing about cash transfer. My dear friends in the media, go and read the IDB report and see what it says specifically about Guyana and specifically at the best tools that were used in the cost of living crisis. And you will see Guyana shining. Furthermore, let me see. I heard somebody talking about inflation. Inflation and managing inflation, the proof is in the numbers. Guyana is among the lowest tier of countries in the globe. The lowest tier of countries in the globe in terms of inflation rate and the passing on of inflation on consumers. That is not what I am saying. That is what the stats is saying. You know why? Because of proper management, proper policies, ensuring that the economy does not overheat, bringing the balance. And that is what Budget 2023 does. I will continue with Budget 2023 some other day, but let me tell you, let me go on about the friends and family thing that you just raised. The 29,000 persons, families that will benefit from public assistance. The more than 73,000 pensioners that will benefit. All those who will own, all of you here too, who are going to own your own home now, and know many of you building your own home with the interest ceiling of 20 million and less, you are my friends and family. Kiana, you are my friend and family, my darling. All of you are part of my friend and family now. Leon Johnson, you who are contracting, you're building homes for people, you are my friend and family. This is an acknowledgement, and I'm proud of this acknowledgement, that Guyana now blossoms. I'm going to adopt that slogan. One Guyana for one family. We are one friend together. That is a good one. Yes, I love that one. One Guyana for one family. One Guyanese family. So the removal of VAT on residential properties, the helping of the vulnerable in our society, the building out of an infrastructure, an ecosystem that support tens of thousands of farmers. But then again, they won't know about that because they closed the sugar industrial center of more than 7,000 people. Then again, they won't know about that because they sent home more than 2,000 CSOs, Amrinian workers. Oh, they were not friends of the government. That is why you didn't send, that is why you send them home, because you saw them not as friends? Oh my God. Well, all those persons who we brought back, they are our friends and family. All the jobs we are creating, when I go into, I'm going to soon into that area, but when I go to Kanji or South or Boystone or Lenora, and we deliver to the people roads, community roads, that is where the money is going, and drainage, and employ our brothers in Victory Valley to build the roads. It is our friends and family. Yes, my dear Guyanese brothers and sisters, you are our friends and family. But, you know, sometimes people get caught up. And I think that is what my friend from NCN, you got caught up with the negativity of narratives, man. The man was being positive. He wanted you to understand that the budget is delivering for the one Guyana family. So let me stop there. I am going to deal with this budget in a more substantive way as time go by. But I'm going to deal with it on the ground, in the arms of people, in the hearts of people, alongside people, walking the ground, walking the streets. By the way, I'm inviting all of you Saturday night. We talk about a clean city. We want a clean Guyana. Guyana must be the cleanest country we can think of. So I'm inviting all of you Saturday night. We're going to go plant some trees and plant some garden on Lamaha Street. The friends and family, let's go out together and plan. I can make some lemonade for you guys. Marcel watches, you don't drink lemonade? You won't get anything harder than that. All right. Any other question? Yes. Kiana.
So, okay, we had Dennis waiting.
Okay.
Sorry. Let's take Dennis, and then we'll take the young lady in the back, and then come back to the front.
Okay.
Good day, Mr. President. Do you have any plan to build a mass transit rail system to move large numbers of commuters and address the road congestion? And secondly, in relation to the oil contract with India, any future oil contract, what may be the pros and cons, the oil purchase contract, what may be the pros and cons of government having a long-term oil sale agreement with India, and how will Guyana guard against any international price movements in such an arrangement? And as far as the horticulture and agricultural projects are concerned, will India be supplying labor to get those projects off the ground? And what provision will be made to phase in Guyanese labor, that is local content? And if you'll permit, sir, when will teachers' salary scales be adjusted upwards?
Thank you very much, Shabal. So first of all, the transit system has been something we have been discussing at a technical level. From a planning perspective, if you look at the population density from Grove on the East Bank to maybe Nabakalis, and the movement of people along that corridor, one might easily say that a rail system is easily justifiable. But whilst these things are in its early stage of examination, there is no decision on that as yet. But I would say to you that it's not outside of our thinking horizon. It is not outside of our thinking horizon. It is something that from a planning perspective, we are examining, and any decision would have to be based on a full-fledged study, to justify such an investment. But I won't say it's outside of the thinking horizon. The oil, if there is a potential contract, of course, that has to go through a whole process. we shouldn't jump ahead of things. A proposal is coming. Whatever is in the proposal has to be examined. After the examination of that proposal, of course, we may have questions, we may have queries. Those questions and queries, answers to those questions and queries will be sought. But no decision has been taken to contract or to go in contract with India this time. No decision has been taken in relation to that. Let's get that very straight. It is an examination of the possibility based on a request by India. They will submit their document. That's for that. Now, the horticulture investment and all of agro-processing has to do with technology transfer. In these modern days, and that is why we have to move forward with the use of technology. It is not displacement of local labor. For a matter of fact, what we want is the development of local labor and the creation of small and medium-sized enterprises out of this industry. So it's about the technical knowledge and the technical expertise help build this industry with the utilization of technology and also taking our comparative advantage, matching it with what they can offer to enhance it, enhance our productivity. That is what it is about. It is not about supply of labor for the horticulture industry. It is not about, it's about technology, expertise, the experts coming in with the right technology, supporting us to build our own capacity, and of course, utilizing technology to help us. And what was the last question? Oh yeah, teacher salary. As I said, from day one, that we are looking at salaries in a holistic way and in a phased manner. At the end of last year, we adjusted the healthcare workers and members of the disciplinary forces. Other categories, as I said, are under examination, and the adjustments will be made at the appropriate time. One thing you can rely on this government is that we never ever walk away from our commitment.
Dennis, there are other persons waiting. So.
Mr. President, what do you mean by government-to-government collaboration in relation to the oil sector? It's technical language, probably.
It's not very basic language, actually. Government-to-government collaboration is a wide concept. Now, you remember earlier we were talking about the possibility of developing our own oil company. Remember that. Now, what we have seen is that there is private sector interest and there is government interest. There's a lot of government around the world that has invested in the oil and gas sector. That they have expertise, they have years of experience in the oil and gas sector. Now, their system allows them for their government to be an investor or be part of a development, oil and gas development. So that is what we mean. Countries like those who have a direct interest from a government level to participate in or be part of the development of the oil and gas sector. In a narrow way, that is how I'll put it, Dennis. Yes.
Thank you. We'll take a question from, just stand and the mic will come.
Good afternoon. My name is Davina Bhagat, and I'm with Kaichur. Mr. President, Dr. Ashney Singh, and I'm going back to the budget just for a bit. He said that it's keen on avoiding the Dutch disease, but he also reported that the massive growth in the economy was fueled by the oil sector. Sir, does this concern you, and should Guyanese be alarmed by these figures? And just before you go, Mr. Glenn Lal has also sent me some questions that he would like you to kindly answer. He said he would have liked to be here.
And you are, Mr. Glenn Lal can come. Why he didn't come?
He said he was stopped at the gate because they told him he was a bit late.
Yeah. Well, you know, you got to be early in life. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot of things, you know. So let me answer your first question. The Dutch disease. You can sit.
Okay.
It is nonsensical. Absolutely nonsensical for one who understands Guyana economy now, is driven by a huge development of the oil and gas sector, to not understand that the oil and gas sector would be bringing in large-scale revenues for the country. That has nothing to do with the Dutch disease. the revenue that comes from the oil sector has nothing to do with the dust disease. It is what do you do with that revenue? How do you use that revenue in the building out of the economy? How do you do that, use that revenue in building prosperity in the country? How do you use that revenue in building up the infrastructure, in building out the social sector, healthcare, education? How do you use that revenue in building a diversified economy that functions on a broad economic platform that supports growth, that supports revenue streams that are much larger? What you fail to say to in your question is that if you take oil and gas outside of the discussion, the non-oil economy grew by more than 7%, which is among the largest growth globally. Why did it grow? It didn't grow by accident. The oil and gas sector also stimulates other sectors in the economy, like the construction sector. Our construction sector is growing phenomenally. So everything is linked. The dust disease is not about the growth of the oil sector. It is about how you disperse the revenue. And one of the worst things that, that can take you to the dust disease scenario the fastest is by thinking you can take oil money and distribute it to every home. I think opposition leader had suggested that. Thank you.
And for the first question from Mr. Lal.
How many questions you have?
Just 4.
Okay.
He says several oil experts and international bodies has been critical of the way your administration is handling the oil sector. The IMF has just warned us to cap the interest rate on the oil companies to avoid them from robbing the country. And the Commonwealth just released a report in which, among other things, they said if we don't monitor or take control...
Let's deal with statement of fact. Did they say that about Guyana, or was it a general statement? Because I know what it is. So you tell me. You are asking me this question now, my friend. You tell me, was this a general report, or was this a report about Guyana?
The Commonwealth was general.
Thank you. And the IMF was?
It was direct.
No.
I'm sorry.
Quote directly for me what the IMF said about Guyana.
I don't have the direct quote.
Well, I can't answer you. You quote directly for me. And if Kiana is helping you on this, Kiana, you're her aide on this, then you get up now and quote directly for me what the IMF said. Quote for me what the IMF said in relation to Guyana. I will answer you directly. Then also, the Commonwealth, there are many oil exports also who are writing about the performance of Guyana, who have lauded the government of Guyana for the way we are handling the oil and gas sector, for our work in terms of utilizing the administrative mechanisms, for our work in a new PSA, for our work in going out to auction on a new block. So what is it you want? What is it we want exactly?
Mr.
And please quote directly.
Okay, Mr. President, unfortunately, I was not blessed with a photographic memory.
Okay, so then we will...
One second, Mr. President.
No. If you're not going to quote what the IMF report said directly, then we'll take the question another time. So continue with your third question. We have to be fair to each other. If you're quoting directly from a report, then come prepared to quote the report.
No, sir, she was not quoting from
a
report.
Well, the young lady told me the IMF said this. She couldn't say whether it said about Guyana, and then you said, yes, it is about Guyana. All I'm asking is for you guys to quote directly what the IMF said.
Mr. President, I was asking for an opportunity to explain
Please go on.
what the report
Please go on
says.
to the next question. Please go on to the next question. Once you quote, I will answer.
No problem. Thank you, sir. For the second question, he says...
The third.
The third.
Yes.
He says...
He said who? Who is he?
Mr. Lal.
Okay, Mr. Lal.
These questions are from Mr. Lal.
Okay.
He said, VP Jagdeo said at his last press conference, nothing will change in the Stabroek Block deal. Is this your position as well, that nothing will change?
We are not running two government.
As for another question, He says there seems to be a constant blackout in Guyana, not from GPL, but from your office and that of the entire government circle. This is so as you have not been hosting press conferences. Can you shed
My
some light?
dear, let you be honest now. I want you as a journalist to be honest. Have you ever seen a more accessible president in the history of Guyana than this president?
Sir, we're not
Have
just
you
talking
ever
about
seen?
you,
I
though.
am accessible every single day. Let all the journalists just answer here. Have you ever seen? Mark said you guys should answer honestly. Let Shabral answer honestly. Have you ever seen a more accessible president in the history of this country? I guarantee you that you have not. You come anytime, anywhere, I am, and I will answer any question you have. On the road, in the village, in the stream, on the boat, you come. I will answer any question. In the history of this country, my dear friend, I'm telling you, you name somebody who has been more accessible than me.
But while this may be the case for you, we have been trying on multiple occasions to get responses from Minister Barrett, for example, on
You
issues.
just asked about me. You said about my
No, we
offices
said
and
press
blackout.
conferences. We said
You
press
said my
conferences
office is on
generally
blackout.
from
I just
your
came back
office
from
and the
India. I have a
government.
press conference. I'm available. I answer every single question. I don't know what more can I do. What more can I do?
All right, for
I am
example,
open, transparent. I do everything on a live. You don't even have to guess. If a man wants to cuss me, go on a live, you'll see cuss me. Because I don't do things in a planned manner. I go out there, you go on my Facebook. But you know, one good thing is that the narrative cannot be skewed. When the narrative is on a live, that is the narrative. You can hear who is against you, for you, what suggestion they have. I don't hide. And let me tell you this. Mr. Lal knows this. If he has a question, you can send a question to me. You send a question to my office and you will get an answer. I am open to the press. I am very, very much open to the press. I am available to the press.
all right, if I may continue, thank
So
you very much.
you'll make sure you make use of that.
Yes, sir.
Thank
I will.
you.
Thank you. Finally, he says the gas to shore, the gas to energy project, the largest ever investment your government is embarking on, is US $2 billion. And the people you have put in charge has never held a press conference or a discussion to show this nation how the investment will be successful and not become another Skeldon plant.
My dear sister, I want to ask you something. How many articles have you seen on this gas to shore project from the government?
To be honest, I haven't seen a lot, and
You
we've
haven't
been
seen a
trying
lot?
to.
So let's make a test case now. Can somebody Google for me Guyana gas to shore project, and let's see all the articles that will come up. All the articles, all the press releases, every single thing that will come up. Can somebody do that for me, please?
We would love to have one quoted as well.
One
Yes,
what?
we cannot recall any statements being sent out,
No,
any press conference
I have
on
spoken.
this particular
I have
issue.
spoken on the gas to shore project on many occasions. The vice president has spoken on the gas to shore project on many occasions. Ministers in the government have spoken to the gas to shore on the gas to shore project on many occasions.
But when we confront them with issues and questions too, they decide to tell us that
The-
no, they're not answering
The gas to
questions on
shore
that
project,
issue.
as you know, went out to public tender, international public tender. The most transparent process you can ever get. And what it will deliver to the people of this country is energy at half the price you pay today. Imagine that for manufacturing. Imagine that for industrial development. And I know, right, I think on a show on your radio station, the vice president went in details to show the payback period of the gas to shore project. We just have to be honest, you know. I don't have an agenda. I do not have an agenda. You just have to be honest. You will go right on your radio and see that there was an entire program done by the vice president on this.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sir, please permit me to allow 2 other questions, unless you would like to take more. This young man's hand was up, and then Marcel will take a follow-up. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, good day. Shamar Musa from the Guyana Chronicle. On the issue, on the millets thing that you mentioned, We know that 200 acres are set to be set aside for that. One, can you say how soon we will see that being identified? And also, does that include facilities for the production of products that are derived from millets? And my second question is, during the India trip, were there any discussions as it relates to the expansion of trade? And did that include finding solutions to the lengthy export and import process between the two countries?
Yes, there were discussions on expanding trade and the challenges that, one of the challenges, of course, is transportation and logistics and geographic distance. So that question was examined and the challenge that that brings, but we're going to deal with that. The second issue is on the millets. Yes, we are looking, we said I will look at bringing together the local farmers to see if we can use, how we can use 200 acres as experimental. India, of course, will support us with the technology in doing this. There must be a reason why UN declared 2023 as the year of millet. So that is something that we are exploring. No, that is what I mean. The entire ecosystem around it, which include the processing.
We'll take our final question, sir, from Marcel.
No, let's do Marcel and Kurt.
Okay. And Kurt.
Kiana, what about you?
Mr. President,
Kiana is my friend, you know. Not true, Kiana?
Mm-hmm.
You're not my friend? Oh, you're part of the One Guyana family. Right? Thank you, my dear.
I had forgotten, it's on the India trip.
Uh-huh.
You had purchased, the Times of India had reported that you purchased an aircraft.
Oh.
That's what it said. The president, and I quote now, eh?
No. What?
It says the president has 18-seater aircraft more. He has made a draft to process its purchase within a week.
No. That's absolutely not the case. So let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
The aircraft, as I said, we have been sending technical teams. The technical team are looking at the Skyvan. One is already out and one we have limited hours on. So the replacement aircraft that we are looking at, one of it is this Donair. And they are now working at a technical level. I know some meetings are going on now with the Civil Aviation Authority of Guyana, with the Civil Aviation Authority of India. Then there's a technical team that will go to make an assessment, and they will get recommendations out of that. But what they have proposed is to supply not only of the craft, but the training, the technology, the maintenance stream, and everything.
Mr. President, David Papana, Starbuck News. Quickly.
You got a new hairstyle, boy. Like something grazed the side of your head.
Yeah,
2 marks
yes.
there. Yes.
Could you give us an update on the process of the appointment of Chancellor and Chief Justice, please?
So you decide to make a full blow today. So there's no update from the last time. We have to get the Judicial Service Commission in place. We are working on having that in place. I'm very concerned that is not in place as yet, but it's no fault of the government of Guyana. You know the whole situation surrounding that, but we are pushing ahead to get the Judicial Service Commission in place, and then all other issues surrounding that will fall in place.
And finally, could you give us an update on the fishing license between Guyana and Suriname, the 150 fishing
I have
license?
no update on that at
No
the
update.
moment.
We'll take
The talks are ongoing. You know, we're not hearing much noise now, right? From the fisher folk. So, yeah. All right. We are working hard on every front.
Mr. President, back to your India trip. I did not want to lose the opportunity to get some more information on the potential of partnership with the Indian authorities as it relates to Gaisuko. and you also mentioned Silica City. What exactly is Guyana looking to the Indian authorities for? And I'm asking a question against the backdrop of the interest expressed by other countries.
No, no, of course. There's interest expressed by many other countries, especially on Silica City. The support I'm talking about is urban planners. They have specialist urban planners that they can help by sending here, that would work with our local urban planners, that would impart technology transfer, transfer of ideas, and so on. So those planners, you got the quotation in the meantime though, my friend? Otherwise I'll take your question back again. You get the quotation? But you're getting, you have some time as we go on to get a quotation. I will even retake your question. I'm just, once you get the facts, I'm ready for it. Yeah, so, so the technical expertise, definitely. We will get the technical expertise from there in the urban planning. That is all it is to help us, because we are at that important planning stage. In relation to Gaisuku, we have to bring in technical expertise. We have been open to private sector involvement, and any private sector involvement, we have had expression of interest. But now we have to work now on getting the technical capability to support our local management team to push this company faster into profitability, to look at the restructuring and so on. Guatemala is also very much interested in this. Hopefully, when are they establishing their embassy? In March, Guatemala is establishing their embassy here, a full presence here, and they're also very much interested in supporting us in terms of sugar and Gaisuku. All right, then thank you very much. God bless all of you. And listen, I am open to you guys anytime. Feel free to send the questions anytime, okay?
Thank you, Mr. President, honorable ministers of government and members of the private sector, ladies and gentlemen of the media, thank you so much for coming. And if you're joining us via Facebook or any of our local networks, thank you as well. This will bring us to the end of the press conference for today.